Hello, everybody. Good Buddy Q here with
Dignified.
welcome to Let's Discuss. This time about Prussia and Romano, two piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, last we left off, we were talking about Germany and Italy. If you didn't hear that one, or the last one, because warnings, this is gonna mention a lot of that Gerida stuff. So if you didn't listen to the last one, warning, we're still gonna have to talk about it. And if you didn't understand, probably listen to the last video, because yeah,
Yeah, because
because
like
they're the family, so they
yeah,
have to deal
so
with
it
them.
just it's involved with the relationship. So yeah.
Yep. Yep. We probably won't be as long because we don't delve as much into theirs as like Germany and Italy's is the longest and the most we've delved into about them. Everyone else is kind of it's kind of based off of their history.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So let's start off then. Let's talk about names.
yeah, Romano's like the most known. So let's go with that one.
Yeah, and I made a brief mention of it back in the Germany and Italy video of our name for 2P Romano being Flavio. And that was sort of one of the names that I came up with that really stuck with people. And I'm glad it did because it's a great name for him. It means, like, I think it's just golden or golden
Yeah.
something. But anyway,
I want to say golden.
yeah. And I sort of liked that because at the time I had recently been introduced to the idea of 2P Romano dyeing his hair blonde and being sort of a fashionista, and I was like, ooh, I like that a lot. So that's sort of where the name came from. That and the fact that, again, like I mentioned in the Gerida episode, I liked the idea of swapping the first letters of the Italy brothers' first names, so Romano gets an F name, Flavio. And yeah, and it also has the V from Lavino, so it just like I'm just so happy with the Italy Brothers 2P names. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of
It
them.
flows really well.
It does. It's great. I love it. So that's pretty much the story behind it. Now you want to talk about 2P Prussia's name?
Yeah, 2P Prussia's name, well, his is kind of similar to Siegfried. His name is Sigmund. Like, yeah. Like, there's a reason for that, too. I think back to that Wagner opera I was talking about. In the previous one, the second one, there was a Sigmund and Sieglinde. They were the two children of the god. I forget which
Yeah,
one.
I forget which one.
I want to say Thunder, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's been so long since we've seen
Yeah.
these operas, so forgive
Like
us if
4
we're
years.
fuzzy on those details.
Yeah, ring cycle. It's great. I 100% recommend it. But he like fooled around. He had kids with humans, and people were really pissed about that. And he was on a Sentinel quest or something. Again, that was the first one we ever saw. And Sigmund and Sieglinde, they were again siblings, and they fell in love, and things happened, and Siegfried was made. There's a lot of incest in there, but there's no incest here.
No.
Pending? I don't even know. Not with Prussia though.
No,
Not with him.
No.
No. Sigmund is his name. Oh, yeah, because it's basically that. He was the original starter of it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Go do the thing.
Yeah. So let's ready to talk about personalities and such.
Yeah. Flavio is first. Let's go with him.
Yeah.
People know him a lot more.
Yeah. So, yeah, Flavio. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the idea of Flavio being sort of like a fashionista, but really the core of his personality, it comes from sort of a place of nobody cares about me, nobody pays attention to me, I can do whatever the fuck I want. But there's always a little bit of attention seeking in everything he does. Like he's rebellious, he's obnoxious, he's just a brat. That is what I always call Flavio. Like at the end of the day, the perfect word for Flavio is brat. And for as much as he'll just be like, I don't care about anybody else, nobody cares about me, he also kind of wants attention even if it's negative.
He's still a Soon.
He is. It's just manifesting in a more sassy and flamboyant way.
Yeah, like I can kind of see where you come from, because our history is still kind of the same. Raised by Spain. Spain's, well, we haven't really given much thought to him. We do kind of have the same thing of like, yeah, he's still Two-Face, but his main Two-Face is kind of scary compared to his one that he barely shows, that he's sort of like happy-ish and aloof. Like it's sort of switched. So Romano had to live with mostly being with the scary one. And when he was just happy and aloof of just being chill with them, Romano thought was a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. So he would try and rile Spain up, like, hey, I'm being a brat, hey, I'm messing around.
Just to get attention.
Yep, and, like, of course, it, also still comes from the fact that he's, the less favored of the Italy brothers, so... Like, again, it all just sort of comes down to, nobody gives a shit about me.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. And, yeah, like, that's sort of the meat of his history. I don't really think there's anything necessarily more relevant.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah. So, want to talk about Sigmund's
Alrighty, Sigmund stuff. Well, like, in, like, 1P Prussia's backstory, he was a lot more humble and modest back in the day, and then he got his ass reared into gear, and so he got awesome, and so forth. 2P Prussia kind of started out the same way, humble and modest, but he never got his ass in gear. He always stayed humble and modest. Now, something about this, like I mentioned in the last video, that, yeah, he's not a nation anymore, so he's not really able to regenerate anymore, so he's lost certain things, like, and he's lost the ability to speak. Don't know how yet, but, like, I've seen that around, and I really liked it, so I wanted to work with that. Like, again, there is sometimes it's just we have people, and we just see, like, some abilities scattered around that we just kind of collect for our version, because it's, like, community stuff, but yeah. Like, it's not originally our idea, but again, it's just, again, it's all a process.
A thing that we picked up and just sort of worked as a patch into this whole big thing. Like, that's sort of the fun thing about the 2Ps, is that it is very much like a community sharing a bunch of ideas.
Yep. So, yeah, he can't speak anymore, but he can write and stuff. Like, his journals he used to use for diaries, he just used those for words instead of just, like, writes it down or has a whiteboard or something. He communicates that way, and the poor guy, being in this world, like, how it is, and not being, like, meaning to it anymore, like, he's not a nation, he can't really do anything, especially with Siegfried, like, with Luciano nowadays, just out of the house, doing all the stuff his way, he's all alone. No one really gives a shit, and he knows this, and he can't make a difference ever again. So he's basically succumbed to depression a lot, because there is nothing he can do anymore. And this is bad. The poor, sad BB. He tries to keep on going, because, he has a lot to live for. He'd never attempt suicide. Never. He'd never do that to Siegfried. But, again, he doesn't know what to do anymore. He finds no reason of life.
Mm-hmm.
So he just carries on day by day. The poor boo.
Oh. Poor little thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Should we move on? Like, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, so, like, now that we've talked about them, as individuals and kind of, talked a little bit about their interactions with their siblings, let's delve into that a bit more. Like, should we start with Flavio again, do you think? Okay. Flavio's relationship with Luciano is kind of distant, really, just because Flavio, well, if there's anyone whose closeness, or at least knowledge of Luciano's inner workings is comparable to Siegfried's knowledge, it's Flavio, because he's still Luciano's older brother and, heard about everything that happened, so Flavio just kind of lets Luciano do whatever he needs to do, because getting involved would not be beneficial to him, and that's sort of another core part of his personality, is that he, like, again, a core part of everyone's personality in this universe is, acting out of self-interest.
Yep.
So he just sort of stands aside while Luciano just gets more and more messed up. And they do occasionally interact because, yeah, like, they're brothers, they're dual personifications of the nation, they have to interact. But it's all kind of strained because Flavio is just very laid back and kind of teasing, and Luciano just does not enjoy those kinds of interactions.
Not to mention with Siegfried too. That he jokes with him and he's like, I know what he's like. You probably should get away from him. Like instead of just thinking, oh, get away from my brother, you potato bastard. He's like, no, I know how he's like. He'll mess you up. He'll fuck you up. So I suggest you get away from him. And Siegfried's like, no, that's nonsense.
Yeah, because again, Flavio knows that no one cares, no one listens to him, so he sort of takes a sort of teasing enjoyment in doing that sort of thing, in like really pulling Siegfried aside and saying, hey, my brother, he's no good. You do not want to get close to him. Like, seriously, if you know what's good for you, you would stay away. Because he knows that Siegfried will go against him, that Siegfried will take his own actions and ruin his own life. And Flavio can just laugh, because he warned him, he told him.
Yep.
But he didn't listen.
Because no one cares about him.
Nope.
Not at all.
Yeah, and sort of, once the relationship, that should probably wait. Like, let's focus on brothers. I don't really know if there's that much more to say about Flavio and Luciano, so maybe you should talk about Sigmund and Siegfried.
Sigmund and Siegfried. Like I said in the last video, Siegfried is very, very family-oriented. Like, he wants to make sure that Sigmund is okay, that he's taken care of and stuff like that. Like, he will even pay Flavio to go babysit him for a while, or just anybody. Because, he's very busy these days. And meanwhile, Sigmund, he's not sure what to think of those Italians, especially Luciano. Like, and 1P, Prussia's got totally a crush on them. And he's like, no. Sigmund just pities them so much. He's like, you are a small, broken child, and I sympathize with you so much, and there's nothing I can do. Just you poor, poor child. Pet's head.
Yeah, which, like, of course, Luciano does not take this well, because nobody pats my head and calls me a child. I am scary and have a knife.
Well, as much as he can call him a child with being mute.
yeah, it's just, like, that's the vibe he gives off, and Luciano does not appreciate anyone pitying him, because, again, he does not want to be seen as pitiful. Flavio has an interesting sort of interaction with that, because, like, on the one hand, he's just, like, kind of like, excuse you? But a lot of that just comes from the fact that no one's ever really expressed sympathy to him before, and he doesn't know how to react to that other than, again, just being a brat.
Yep. And there's also the fact that Sigmund does not like Siegfried's relationship at all. He can see from the very beginning, Siegfried was a very nice guy. He raised his brother to be really good, really caring, not as bad as everyone else is. The world's not so cruel. And here comes Luciano to steal his brother away, and he's not been the same since. He looks over his shoulder. He doesn't laugh anymore. He can't even tell a joke without looking behind his shoulder. It just breaks his heart so much, and he's actually tried to get them apart, but it just doesn't work. Siegfried won't have it at all, and even if Siegfried does fall for it, Luciano's quick to fix it, because, God, Siegfried hangs on his every word. It's not even fair.
Mm-hmm.
So Sigmund's, after so long, he just accepts it. He's like, well, he's his own man. I can't do anything anymore. I'm not even part of his life anymore. I'm just here with nobody. And there he goes on his next relapse.
Yep.
Poor thing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like I said before, sometimes Siegfried pays Flavio to go watch him.
Yeah, and those are interesting times, because, like, of course, Flavio just tries to mess with him at first, because that's how he deals with people, but, like, Sigmund just doesn't take the bait at all. He just, like, is completely apathetic to everything that's going on, and, like, that really frustrates Flavio, but eventually he just kind of, like, has to accept that he can't deal with Sigmund in the same way that he deals with everyone else, and he kind of has to engage him on his level if he wants to get any kind of response out of him. And, like, he does sort of view Sigmund as a project of sorts. Like, he wants to, bring some energy out of him. But
just goes in and is like, how long have these curtains been closed? How long have you been wearing that thing? When's the last time you showered? Good God!
yeah, he kind of has to roll with Sigmund's sort of quiet acceptance. He knows that he has to, like, really provide all the energy of the dynamic.
Yeah, because he needs to get up in a boot somehow. Oot in a boot. Yeah, but, Sigmund does appreciate it and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't know Siegfried's paying him, but so it makes it a little better. So he just wants someone to be around with. Even if it's just, like, talking about Sigmund, just, like, makes me think of, like, France and Spain, Bad Touch Trio. They are basically just, like, really tired of the world, and they're just together, just being miserable together, but they have comfort in each other about that, because while the world sucks, at least there's other people who knows it sucks with them, and they can just go do whatever the fuck they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And Sigmund likes it. He even just likes just having someone there, even if they don't have to talk, he just likes company.
Mm-hmm.
He's an empty nester.
He is.
Poor thing.
Yeah. And, let's see, we already kind of touched on their reactions to, Germany and Italy's relationship, though there was one thing about Flavio's reaction that I wanted to say earlier.
Uh-huh.
That basically, once they're together, Flavio, still just being the little brat that he is, anytime that Luciano comes over and, of course brings Siegfried with him, because why wouldn't he bring his guard dog? Flavio just, like, at best talks about him like he isn't even there, at worst talks about him like he's an object. Like, he basically, it's all just a joke, kind of, to him, about how he knows that their relationship is awful and manipulative, and just, like, nice going!
You done fucked up. Good job. Have fun with that.
Yep.
It's like, I can see you got a new accessory. You finally got something for your right side.
Yep, exactly.
And sometimes just how he does it, like, in his flamboyant, bratty way, he tries to make a joke out of it. Siegfried is both conflicted of, I am both offended and that is kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
But I'm the butt of the joke here, but that's still funny. So he doesn't know how to feel about him.
Yeah.
So let's go on to something lighter and talk about their quirks to end it.
Yeah. We've been talking about Flavio a lot. Like, we've been prioritizing him, I should say. So let's talk a bit about Sigmund's quirks.
Yep. So Sigmund, well, we already talked about most of his quirks already, but let's talk about a little bit of his home life of, like, he does have animals. He does have his chickens, but instead of just, like, one piece, like, all the little baby chicks all around. No, he's got fully grown chickens. And they're just kind of around his little fluffy butts. And, he likes to take care of them. They're soothing, someone to talk to. Metaphorically. Because they can't talk back, but it's just, like, it's just nice to have company. Flavio knows Sigmund's in a really bad mood if chickens are just walking around the house. Just let them out of the coop. He's like, God damn it. And he also has, Siegfried does have dogs. But they're just at Sigmund's place because Luciano does not want them at his goddamn house. So there is 3 dogs. There's 2 of them that are basically what I call lobotomy dogs. They're just very, very chill. You throw a towel on them, they won't even move. They just kind of stare into the distance. France likes them a lot, and we'll explain why later. And then there's one puppy that's very, very excitable. He's still training that one. He's recent. Siegfried got him as, an idea to maybe cheer him up, to get something more bouncy in there. And sometimes it helps, sometimes not really. He's a very smart dog, though. Likes to escape a lot, so Sigmund's like, yay, more people to leave me. Fantastic. Falls on couch.
Aww.
But the puppy does come back. The puppy's very smart. Yeah, and so something else, too. Siegfried's very, very, like I keep saying, very heavy about family. Like, he'll try to get, like, family reunions with Austria on them together. He'll even try, like, making, like, quote-unquote family dinners with him, Luciano, Flavio, and Sigmund. Those don't go very well because Luciano does not want to be there. And Sigmund, he's happy to be with Siegfried, but he's just sad Luciano's still just trying to move everything. Then there's Flavio.
Yeah, then there's just Flavio, who, like, he doesn't exactly want to be there either, but
He's the comic relief.
Yeah, he'll find a way to have a good time, naturally at anyone else but himself's expense.
Yeah. Well, that's fun. Well, I think that's about it. I think he does blog, but it's, like, not as much. Like, he doesn't have much to say, so it's, like, it is kind of he did do a lot of the emo stuff at first, just mostly out of funny, but then it didn't get as much, so it's, it's just, he tries. He goes on the Tumblr. Yeah, he tumbles. That's about it.
Okay, so let's see, any quirks about Flavio? Let's see, Flavio will nitpick everything, and, like, that sort of comes from the idea of, Flavio the fashionista, and so, like, he will nitpick other people's clothing, like, interior design, anything. And, again, it all sort of, is just to rile people up. And,
he likes to mess with them.
He does. Oh, and, something that's very, very wacky, very fun, just sort of a nice thing to end with, and it's something we came up with very recently. Flavio is one of those people who loves to make creative mixed drinks.
Oh god, yes.
Like, especially the kind that are, like, so fruity in flavor that you can hardly taste the alcohol. And it sort of comes from, the same place that, like, he dyed his hair. It's sort of a, like, I'm rebellious. Like, why should I drink wine? Why should I honor my heritage? My heritage never honored me.
So we like to think of that when he goes over to Sigmund's place. If he's especially down, he's like, hey, let's have some alcohol. I'll make some drinks. And Sigmund is always fascinated because it's like, how did you turn these drinks into that? What the hell did you do? It's not like beer. Like, first time he ever drinks it, he just drinks it and just has, like, the most puzzled look on his face. And Flavio's like, you okay? Sigmund just draws, like, a basic happy face. And Flavio's like, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, so, much else you can think of?
Yeah, that's basically it. Like, if we think of anything else, we'll probably mention it in other things.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
that
that's the whole family. That's the compass.
Yeah, the German bros and the Ida bros. That's them in this universe, and so it's nice to sort of have them out of the way because now we get into the more extended parts of our 2P universe.
Yeah, the more hijinky places.
Yeah, here's where the fun really begins.
Yeah, but we'll get to that next time.
Yeah.
The next time is the 2P Face family.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to go over that one.
I'm excited too.
Yup. So yeah, that'll be for next time. Yeah, so have a good day, everybody. Bye!
Bye!
Yeah.